Ladies and gentlemen, there lies within every man and woman a silent force more powerful than circumstances, more enduring than setbacks, and more transformative than talent alone. It is inner faith. This invisible power, once mastered, becomes the architect of your destiny. You see, faith is not merely a hope or a wish. It is a state of mind, a mental attitude so charged with belief that it compels action and commands results. No man ever climbed the ladder of achievement without first believing he could reach the top. And no woman ever changed her world without the unwavering conviction that she was meant to do so. Inner faith is the foundation of all personal success. It is the unseen hand that lifts you when the world has turned its back. It whispers possibility in the face of failure. It is not handed to you by chance or gifted by others. It is built from within, through thought, repetition, and desire. The world around you will reflect the strength of the world within you. If your thoughts are governed by fear, doubt, and worry, then your results will mirror those chains. But if your thoughts are wrapped in belief, shaped by purpose, and lit by desire, then success becomes not just a possibility, it becomes inevitable. You must train your mind to believe what your eyes cannot yet see. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. And that bridge must be walked with boldness, even when the winds of uncertainty blow against you. Every man who has risen from obscurity to greatness has done so by mastering this inner belief. They held to their purpose when others doubted. They pressed on when others gave up. They did not wait for proof. They became the proof. Because faith is not passive. It is a force that demands motion. When you feed your mind with clarity of purpose, when you refuse to negotiate with fear, when you choose to act despite uncertainty, you awaken the sleeping giant within. And that giant, ladies and gentlemen, is your inner faith. Let the world shake, let the critics speak, let obstacles rise. When your inner faith is strong, no external circumstance can break you, for you do not move with the winds, you move with will. And that will, anchored in faith, is the birthplace of every miracle ever known to man. Inner faith is the cornerstone of all personal power and success. It is not an abstract idea or a poetic sentiment. It is a living force within the human spirit that determines the heights to which one can rise. It is the source from which all achievement flows and the essence that shapes character, action, and destiny. Without inner faith, no goal can be fully pursued, no dream realized, no mountain climbed. It is the first requirement of greatness and the final test of perseverance. Everything that a person becomes, does, or creates begins with belief, and belief, when deeply rooted and unwavering, becomes the fuel that powers determination, endurance, and vision. Inner faith is not the same as blind optimism or wishful thinking. It is not about hoping things will go right while doing nothing to change your condition. It is not a crutch or a mask to hide fear. True inner faith is a conscious and deliberate act of mental discipline. It is forged through experience, strengthened by adversity, and sharpened by reflection. It is the knowing that no matter what happens around you, the power within you is greater. It is the ability to trust yourself, to stand firm in your convictions, and to act with certainty even when the path ahead is unclear. When a person possesses inner faith, they develop a quiet confidence that does not boast, yet never doubts. This confidence is not loud or brash. It is steady, resilient, and unshakable. It allows one to keep moving forward when everything around them suggests they should stop. It is the belief that effort is never wasted, that setbacks are temporary, and that every challenge holds within it the seed of a greater strength. With inner faith, a person becomes immune to the distractions of failure and the seductions of ease. They are not swayed by opinions or discouraged by defeat. They understand that the journey of success begins not with the first step, but with the firm decision to believe that the destination is possible. The greatest individuals in history, those who left behind legacies of greatness, innovation, and change did not begin with perfect circumstances or ideal conditions. They began with a belief so strong that it defied logic, defied odds, and defied resistance. They believed in something greater than their current reality. They believed that their dreams mattered, and above all, they believed in their own ability to bring those dreams to life. That belief, that inner faith, was the foundation of everything they built. It was the light they followed in the darkness, the shield they held in the storm, the voice they trusted when no one else understood. Inner faith gives rise to vision. It allows a person to see not what is, but what could be. It opens the door to imagination and frees the mind from limitation. A person without inner faith is imprisoned by doubt, trapped by fear, and limited by the visible. But a person with inner faith sees possibilities where others see problems. They see opportunity in adversity and growth in failure. They are not confined by what has been done before, because their faith tells them that they are capable of doing what has never been done. It is this unshakable confidence in their own creative power that makes them bold, daring, and relentless in pursuit of their goals. There is a reason why those who believe in themselves often succeed while others fail, even when both possess equal talent. The answer lies in the invisible, immeasurable force of faith. Talent may win a few races, and luck may open a few doors, but it is faith that keeps a person in the race when the road gets hard. It is faith that pushes them through rejection, through ridicule, through moments of despair. It is faith that drives them to get up after every fall, to try again after every failure, and to keep climbing after every setback. Without this inner force, even the most talented among us may surrender too soon. With it, even the most ordinary person can achieve the extraordinary. This faith must be developed. It does not fall from the sky or appear overnight. It must be cultivated through effort, through intentional thought, and through disciplined action. Every time you choose to believe in your ability despite evidence to the contrary, your faith grows. Every time you speak words of encouragement to yourself instead of words of doubt, your faith strengthens. Every time you act boldly in the face of fear, your faith deepens. And over time, this inner belief becomes a solid foundation upon which all your future successes are built. It becomes the anchor that holds you steady through life's storms, and the compass that guides you toward your true purpose. The mind is a fertile ground, and faith is the seed that produces the harvest of success. But like any seed, faith must be nurtured. It must be fed with positive thoughts, watered with purpose, and protected from the weeds of fear, negativity, and self-doubt. The human mind will believe what it is told repeatedly, and the words we speak to ourselves become the blueprint of our destiny. If you tell yourself often enough that you are capable, that you are worthy, and that your goals are within reach, your mind will begin to accept it as truth, and once belief takes root, action follows naturally. A person who believes they will always do more, try harder, and persist longer than one who doubts. Action born of faith is more powerful than action born of desperation or fear. Faith is also contagious. When a person walks with strong inner belief, they inspire others to believe as well. Their energy, their conviction, and their presence become a source of strength to those around them. They become leaders not because they demand it, but because their belief shines so brightly that others are drawn to their light. They lift others simply by refusing to be small themselves. This is the ripple effect of inner faith. It not only transforms the individual, it elevates the collective. It becomes a force that builds families, empowers teams, and changes communities. But inner faith must be protected. It is constantly under attack by doubt, fear, and criticism. The world will test your belief at every turn. There will be moments when nothing makes sense, when progress seems invisible, and when the temptation to give up feels overwhelming. In those moments, your inner faith becomes your only shield, and it is in those moments that you must hold onto it the tightest. For just beyond those moments lies the breakthrough, the transformation, the result that makes it all worthwhile. There is no substitute for faith. No shortcut, no trick, no external validation can replace the power of a person who truly believes in themselves. When everything else is taken from you, your resources, your support, your comfort, it is your faith that remains, and as long as you have faith, you still have everything you need to rebuild, to rise, and to win. Inner faith is not a luxury for the chosen few. It is the birthright of every person willing to claim it. It is the source of all courage, all resilience, all victory. It is the master key to unlock human potential. Whether your goal is to build a business, heal a relationship, create art, or transform your life, your success will rise or fall with your belief. It is the foundation upon which dreams are built, and the force that gives them life. You must believe, not because the world tells you to, but because your soul demands it. You are more powerful than you know, and the moment you decide to believe that with all your heart, the world will begin to shift in your favor. Not because the world has changed, but because your belief has changed the way you see the world. And in that moment, you will understand that inner faith truly is the cornerstone of all personal power and success. Belief in oneself must be cultivated deliberately and consistently. Belief in oneself is not a mere wish that happens to arise in moments of inspiration or convenience. It is not a fleeting feeling that comes and goes depending on external circumstances. Rather, it is a deliberate act of will, a conscious decision that must be made every single day, regardless of the challenges faced or the emotions experienced. Self-belief is not gifted, it is forged. It is cultivated through intention, reinforced through repetition, and strengthened through action. It is not born of chance. It is the result of discipline, of mental effort, and of unwavering commitment to the idea that who you are is enough to begin, and who you are becoming is worthy of the journey. There are those who wait for confidence to arrive before they act, but that is not the way belief works. Confidence is the result of belief, not the beginning of it. First, one must choose to believe and then act in accordance with that belief. The belief comes before the evidence, before the victory, before the applause. It must be internalized deeply enough that it continues to burn even in the absence of proof. It must be fed by your own mind, for the world will not always reflect it back to you. If you wait for others to validate your worth, your progress will always be delayed. The most powerful belief is the kind that needs no external approval, because it is rooted in a truth you have chosen to accept about yourself. Deliberate cultivation of self-belief begins with the thoughts we allow into our minds. Every thought is a seed, and every repeated thought becomes a belief. If you constantly tell yourself that you are inadequate, that you are not ready, that you are not good enough, those thoughts will shape your reality. They will limit your potential and keep you trapped in hesitation. But if you speak words of strength, if you remind yourself daily that you are capable, resilient, and worthy, you begin to create a new mental environment. That environment becomes fertile ground for confidence, for courage, and for action. You are the gardener of your mind, and self-belief is the fruit of the seeds you plant and water each day. This is why consistency is so critical. One moment of belief is not enough to carry you through the storms of life. You must reaffirm it daily. You must remind yourself of your purpose, your value, and your capacity to overcome. When you wake up in the morning, you must set your mind on the path of belief. When doubt creeps in, as it inevitably will, you must confront it with truth. You must speak life into your own vision, even when the world is silent. That is the true test of belief. Not how loudly you declare your dreams when everything is going well, but how faithfully you hold on to them when nothing seems to be working. Belief in oneself is a decision to act despite fear. It is not the absence of fear, rather, it is the refusal to allow fear to dictate your choices. It is the internal strength to say, I may not have all the answers, but I will take the first step anyway. This is what separates those who move forward from those who remain stuck. They act not because they are fearless, but because they believe that even with fear, they are capable of more. Every small action taken in alignment with self-belief reinforces it. Every step forward, no matter how small, tells your mind, I am someone who tries, I am someone who progresses, I am someone who grows. Just as muscles grow through resistance, belief grows through challenge. When you encounter obstacles, do not interpret them as signs that you are not meant to succeed. Rather, see them as opportunities to prove your faith in yourself. Each time you choose to persist, you send a message to your subconscious mind that you can be trusted with difficulty. And that trust becomes the foundation of unshakable self-belief. You begin to see yourself not as someone who avoids struggle, but as someone who transforms struggle into strength. That identity becomes a part of you, and once it takes root, it cannot be easily shaken. The deliberate practice of self-belief also requires guarding your mind against the influence of negativity. There will always be voices, some external, some internal, that question your worth, your readiness, and your right to pursue greatness. But those voices only hold power if you agree with them. You must become the strongest voice in your own life. Your internal dialogue must be louder, more loving, and more loyal than the doubt that surrounds you. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. Encourage yourself, push yourself, and remind yourself daily of your potential. That voice will become your ally in moments of weakness, your anchor in moments of uncertainty. Belief in oneself is also built through clarity. When you are clear on who you are, what you value, and what you want, belief becomes easier to sustain. Purpose gives belief direction. If you do not know what you are working toward, it is easy to become lost. But when you have a vision that is personal, powerful, and deeply meaningful to you, belief becomes the bridge between that vision and reality. You wake up with intention, you move with focus, you persist with discipline. Clarity creates momentum, and momentum strengthens belief. Each forward motion becomes proof that you are capable of progress. Deliberate cultivation of self-belief also means being willing to do the work. Belief is not a magic formula. It must be matched with effort. You cannot believe yourself into success without the actions that make success possible. But when belief and effort work together, they create a powerful synergy. Belief fuels the work, and the work reinforces the belief. Each step taken is not just an action. It is an affirmation of your faith in yourself. It says, I am worth the effort. My dream is worth the pursuit. My life is worth the investment. And that kind of belief is unstoppable. Consistency is what transforms belief from a fleeting emotion into a solid foundation. You must commit to yourself every day, especially on the days when belief feels hard. On those days, you return to your habits, your rituals, and your practices. You write your goals, you read your affirmations, you visualize your future, you act even when you don't feel like it. You remind yourself of your progress, you protect your energy, guard your thoughts, and move one step at a time. Because belief is not built in a single day. It is built every day, one thought, one choice, one action at a time. And when belief becomes a habit, it becomes your default. It becomes the lens through which you see the world and the foundation from which you operate. It no longer requires effort to believe. It becomes natural. It becomes who you are. That is the goal, not to occasionally believe in yourself, but to live in such a way that belief becomes your constant companion. To walk into any room, any challenge, any opportunity with the inner knowing that you are enough, that you are prepared, that you are ready, not because you are perfect, but because you have prepared your mind to lead with faith. Belief in oneself must be cultivated deliberately and consistently, because the world is not designed to do it for you. It is your responsibility, your right, and your power. You must choose it, own it, and protect it. And when you do, you unlock a force within you that can defy odds, break barriers, and create change. You step into your life with power, not because you were given permission, but because you finally gave it to yourself. That is the essence of self-belief, knowing that the greatest permission you need to rise is your own. And once you give yourself that permission, there is no limit to how far you can go. Definiteness of purpose strengthens inner faith. A mind without purpose is like a ship without a rudder adrift, vulnerable to the winds of chance, and destined to end up wherever the tides take it. But a mind with clear, unwavering purpose becomes a powerful instrument, capable of navigating even the roughest seas with courage and direction. When you define your purpose with absolute clarity, you give your faith something to stand on. You transform vague desire into focused determination. You replace confusion with conviction, and that conviction strengthens your inner faith like steel forged in fire. There is a reason why those who are certain of what they want often seem unstoppable. They do not waste energy in indecision. They do not question the worthiness of their goals. They do not wander through life hoping to stumble into success. Instead, they choose their path deliberately. They decide who they want to become, what they want to create, and how they will get there. That decision, that definiteness of purpose, becomes the bedrock of their belief. It gives them something to return to when doubt creeps in, something to fight for when resistance rises, something to stay loyal to when distractions pull them in every direction. Inner faith grows stronger when it has a clear target. If you believe in yourself but do not know what you are working toward, your belief remains dormant. It lacks the fuel it needs to become powerful. But when you align your belief with a definite purpose, your faith transforms into force. You move with a sense of urgency. You wake up with reason. You press forward not out of habit, but out of vision. That vision begins to take root in your mind, shaping your thoughts, influencing your decisions, and sharpening your actions. It becomes the lens through which you see life, and through that lens, your inner faith finds its purpose. There is magic in clarity. When you declare your purpose with boldness, you begin to activate a deeper level of thought and intention. The mind, once directionless, now becomes focused like a laser beam. You start to attract ideas, opportunities, and people that are aligned with your aim. You begin to see the path more clearly, and as you act in alignment with that clarity, your confidence builds. Each step you take reinforces the idea that your purpose is real, your path is valid, and your belief is justified. This is how inner faith is strengthened, through aligned, purposeful action. Definiteness of purpose also shields you from the most dangerous enemies of faith: fear, doubt, and distraction. These forces thrive in confusion. When you are unsure of your goals, you become vulnerable to the opinions of others. You start to question your worth, your path, and your ability to succeed. But when you have a definite purpose, your mind becomes anchored. You are no longer swayed by every opinion or circumstance. You measure your decisions against your purpose, not against your emotions. And in that alignment, you find peace, you find power, you find resilience. Clarity of purpose also simplifies your life. You stop wasting time on things that do not matter. You begin to say no to what is unnecessary, and yes to what brings you closer to your goal. This simplification allows your energy to be concentrated where it counts, and when your energy is focused, your results are amplified. You begin to move faster, think sharper, and act with more conviction. Each win, no matter how small, reinforces your inner faith. You no longer need to be pushed. You are pulled by your vision. To strengthen your inner faith through purpose, you must take time to define that purpose clearly. This is not a one-time event. It is a process of deep reflection. You must ask yourself, what am I here to do? What ignites my spirit? What legacy do I want to leave? You must dig past the surface, past the expectations of others, past the temporary desires, and reach into the core of your being. Only then can you uncover the purpose that belongs to you and you alone. Once found, you must commit to it with every part of your soul. That commitment becomes the fuel for your faith. It gives your belief a reason to endure. Your purpose must be personal. It cannot be borrowed. It must come from within. When your purpose is authentic, your faith in it becomes unshakable. You no longer chase goals for approval or for applause. You pursue them because they are meaningful to you. And in that pursuit, you become more than just a person working toward a goal. You become a person living a mission. That mission becomes the source of your inner strength, and that strength becomes the foundation of your belief. Purpose also creates resilience. Life will test your belief. There will be setbacks, failures, and long periods of doubt. But if your purpose is strong enough, your faith will survive those tests. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, you don't quit when it gets hard. You don't walk away when progress is slow. You stay the course because your purpose demands it. That loyalty to your mission builds inner integrity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. That self-perception feeds your faith. You believe in yourself more deeply, because your actions prove that you are worthy of belief. Definiteness of purpose also generates momentum. The clearer your purpose, the easier it becomes to make decisions. Every choice becomes either a step toward your purpose or a distraction from it. That level of clarity accelerates your progress. As you move forward, your faith grows. It's not just a feeling, it becomes a result. You start to believe in your ability to achieve your goals because you have evidence of progress, and that progress creates a feedback loop. Belief drives action, and action fuels belief. The more you act with purpose, the more your inner faith evolves into certainty. Even in moments of doubt, and they will come, your purpose becomes the anchor. It reminds you of your why. It reminds you that what you are doing matters, that your efforts are not in vain, that your journey has meaning. This remembrance revives your spirit and rekindles your faith. You are no longer moving blindly. You are moving with intention. That intention lights the fire of belief when everything else goes dark. You must guard your purpose with the same vigilance that you guard your faith. The world will try to distract you with noise, trends, and the opinions of others. But when your purpose is definite, you cannot be easily swayed. You stop comparing your path to others because you know where you're going. You stop seeking permission because you've already given it to yourself. And when you walk in purpose, you walk with power. That power is not dependent on external circumstances. It flows from within. It is the strength that comes from knowing that your life is guided by something greater than temporary outcomes. This is how definiteness of purpose strengthens inner faith. It gives it roots. Roots that go deep. Roots that hold firm when the winds of adversity blow. Roots that allow your belief to grow tall, to rise above doubt, to reach toward the sky. Without purpose, faith floats. With purpose, faith stands. And when faith stands, it becomes unstoppable. Every day you must return to your purpose, reaffirm it, reflect on it, speak it aloud, visualize it, let it guide your thoughts, shape your actions, and direct your energy. When your belief and your purpose are aligned, you become a force of nature. You are no longer chasing success. You are fulfilling a calling. That kind of life cannot be broken. That kind of person cannot be ignored. That kind of belief, rooted in purpose, becomes the very foundation of greatness. Self-discipline is the bridge between inner faith and outward results. There is a power that resides within you, a deep, unshakable faith that knows you are capable of becoming all that you dream to be. This inner faith is the root of every great transformation. It is the unseen force that fuels every act of courage, every step into the unknown, and every rise from failure. But inner faith alone, while necessary, is not enough. Believing in yourself is the spark. But if the flame is to burn, if the vision is to be made real, then there must be a bridge that carries that inner conviction into tangible results. That bridge is self-discipline. Without discipline, faith remains a feeling, an untapped potential, a promise never delivered. But when discipline is added to belief, the result is power. Self-discipline transforms invisible dreams into visible results. It is the daily choice to act in alignment with what you believe, even when motivation fades. It is the ability to keep going when excitement wears off. It is the quiet strength to show up for yourself when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is telling you to keep going. Self-discipline is the muscle that inner faith must use to move. It is the habit of consistency. It is the decision to honor your word to yourself over and over again. You may believe you are destined for greatness, but unless you have the discipline to follow through, to do the work, to make the sacrifices, that destiny will remain a dream. Discipline is how you earn the future your faith has seen. It is the toll you must pay to cross the bridge from potential to performance. Discipline begins in the mind. It is not something you wait to feel. It is something you train. It is not about willpower in moments of ease. It is about commitment in moments of resistance. The world is filled with people who start strong, who talk big, who dream loud. But the ones who succeed are those who master the art of doing what must be done, especially when they least feel like it. They do not leave their growth up to emotion. They do not wait for the perfect time. They create time. They command their minds. They develop the discipline to act on faith before results show up. When you practice self-discipline, you train yourself to trust yourself. That trust compounds over time. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your inner faith grows stronger. You no longer need proof from the outside world. You have proof in your own patterns. You know that if you say you will do it, you will do it. That self-trust becomes a deep reservoir of strength in moments of doubt, and from that reservoir you draw the energy to persist. You do not give up after a few days of discomfort. You stay the course because discipline has taught you how to endure. Discipline is also what builds character. It shapes you into someone who is not merely reactive to life, but proactive. It makes you the architect of your outcomes. You no longer live at the mercy of distractions, temptations, or fleeting emotions. You rise above them because you have a deeper loyalty to your vision, to your values, and to your mission. Discipline is what elevates you from wishing to working, from imagining to executing. And it is in the execution, day after day, that faith becomes visible to the world. One of the greatest myths people believe is that discipline limits freedom, but in truth, it is the lack of discipline that leads to bondage, bondage to regrets, to procrastination, to unfulfilled dreams. True freedom is the ability to choose your life deliberately, and that freedom is only available to the disciplined. When you develop discipline, you create structure, and within that structure, your faith finds room to flourish. You no longer wonder if today will move you closer to your goals. You know it will because you've built a system that ensures it. Discipline is also the answer to the voice of fear. Faith and fear often speak at the same time. One says you can, and the other says you can't. One says go forward, and the other says stay safe. In those moments, discipline decides who wins. If you have trained your mind through daily action, you will lean into faith, not fear. You will move forward not because it's easy, but because you've developed the strength to do hard things, and that strength is not natural. It is cultivated through repetition. To build self-discipline, you must first be honest with yourself. Where are you breaking your own promises? Where are you letting comfort outweigh commitment? Discipline requires you to confront these truths, not to judge yourself, but to take control. You must create new standards for your life, standards that match the level of your vision. If your dreams are big, your discipline must be bigger. There is no shortcut. There is no exception. There is only the choice to rise each day and do what needs to be done. This is why the most successful people are not the most talented, but the most consistent. They show up when others sleep. They work when others wait. They choose discipline not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. They do not allow their environment to determine their effort. They lead themselves. And that leadership, forged through discipline, becomes the vehicle of transformation. They become living proof that faith, when matched with action, creates extraordinary results. Discipline also eliminates excuses. It silences the part of your mind that seeks comfort over growth. It demands that you rise above circumstances and take full ownership of your life. No more blaming, no more waiting, no more depending on external motivation. Discipline says, this is your life, own it. It says, you have what it takes, but only if you use what you have. It removes the option to settle. It replaces comfort with commitment and potential with performance. Faith without discipline will always lead to frustration. You will believe in your future but never see it. You will know what you are capable of but never step into it. But when discipline becomes your daily companion, you will feel the shift. You will start to move with purpose. You will begin to believe not only in what is possible, but in your ability to make it happen. That belief becomes a fire that fuels long nights, early mornings, and every sacrifice along the way. You will not need permission to pursue your goals. You will have already given it to yourself through your discipline. This bridge between faith and results is built one decision at a time, one disciplined choice each day. Waking up when you said you would, finishing the task you said you'd complete, saying no to what doesn't align, saying yes to what challenges you. These small acts compound into confidence, and that confidence becomes unshakable faith. Faith that has roots, faith that has been tested, faith that has survived resistance. That kind of faith, backed by discipline, becomes unstoppable. And let us be clear, discipline is not perfection. It is not about never falling. It is about always rising. It is about choosing to begin again every time you fall short. That resilience is part of the discipline. You do not let one missed step become the end of the road. You recommit. You return. You remember why you started. You forgive the setback and press forward. That mindset of relentless forward motion is what transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. When discipline is fused with inner faith, there is no limit to what can be achieved. You become a force of nature, not because you are never afraid, but because you refuse to let fear decide. Not because everything is easy, but because you've trained yourself to rise when things are hard. Not because you are perfect, but because you are committed. That commitment, that discipline, that daily decision to act on your faith, that is what builds results. That is what builds greatness. That is what builds the bridge between who you are now and who you are destined to become. Your environment and associations either strengthen or weaken your inner faith. The mind is the garden and faith is the seed. But no matter how potent the seed may be, if it is planted in toxic soil, if it is surrounded by weeds of doubt and negativity, it cannot grow to its full potential. The strength of your inner faith is not formed in isolation. It is nurtured, tested, and either reinforced or eroded by the environment you choose and the people you permit into your inner circle. Your environment is not just where you live. It is the climate of your thoughts, the tone of your conversations, the values of those around you, and the standards you choose to accept. To master your inner faith, you must become ruthless about your environment. Every sound you hear, every word you speak, every influence you absorb, it is all shaping your belief system. It is either adding bricks to the fortress of your faith or chipping away at its foundation. You cannot afford to be casual about your surroundings. Inner faith is not immune to contamination. Just as a healthy body becomes sick when surrounded by disease, a strong mind can be weakened by the constant exposure to fear, limitation, and mediocrity. You must understand this truth. Energy is contagious. Spend time around people who doubt themselves and you will begin to question your own power. Surround yourself with cynics and your vision will start to blur. Share your dreams with those who laugh at ambition, and slowly your belief will shrink to fit their comfort zones. You begin to internalize their fears as your own. Their disbelief becomes a mirror, reflecting back doubts you were never meant to hold. But the opposite is also true, and this is the key to protecting and expanding your inner faith. When you place yourself in environments where belief is the baseline, where boldness is normal, where excellence is expected, something begins to shift inside you. You start to rise, you start to speak differently, think differently, act differently. You feel your standards being pulled upward. You stop asking, "Can I?" and begin saying, "Watch me." That shift is not accidental. It is the result of proximity to power. Think of any person who has achieved great things, not just external success, but internal fortitude. They were shaped by their associations. They sought out mentors who challenged them, friends who inspired them, partners who supported them, and spaces that elevated them. They did not tolerate relationships that drained their spirit. They did not allow their faith to be questioned by people who had no vision. They were deliberate, strategic, protective, because they understood that environment is not passive, it is persuasive. And over time, it becomes predictive. Look at your own life right now. Who do you speak with the most? What do you read? What do you watch? What do you allow to enter your mental space during the quiet moments? These choices are not neutral. They are seeds, and every seed has a harvest. If you constantly feed on information filled with fear, chaos, and limitation, your faith will not grow. It will shrink. You cannot expect to think big while feeding your mind smallness. You cannot hope to rise while surrounding yourself with those who are content to crawl. This is why you must curate your environment like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Inner faith is the most valuable asset you possess. It is the foundation of every great breakthrough, and anything that threatens it, anything that waters it down, anything that pollutes it must be removed. That may mean walking away from familiar faces. It may mean cutting off conversations that no longer align with your growth. It may mean outgrowing rooms you've become comfortable in. Growth often requires isolation before elevation. Isolation, however, is not the goal. The goal is alignment. Once you create space, fill that space with people and ideas that match your future, not your past. Surround yourself with believers, not just in religion, but in possibility. Align with individuals who are committed to excellence, who speak life into your ideas, who challenge you to go further, who see in you what you are still learning to see in yourself. These are the people who strengthen your faith just by being around them. Their energy becomes evidence that greatness is possible. Their presence becomes permission for you to rise. Even your physical environment matters. The space you work in, the way your home is organized, the music you play, the silence you allow, these things create the atmosphere in which your thoughts are formed. Is your space cluttered, chaotic, and distracting? Or is it clean, intentional, and inspiring? Your outer world often reflects your inner world, and when you begin to take control of one, the other follows. An environment that supports clarity and focus will help your inner faith sharpen and thrive. But here is the deeper truth. At some point you must become the environment. You must become the influence. You must carry such strength of spirit, such clarity of belief, that wherever you go, you elevate the energy of the room. Your faith must not only be shaped by your environment, it must shape the environment in return. This is mastery, when your belief becomes so strong, so anchored, so resilient, that doubt cannot survive in your presence. When others borrow courage from your conviction, when your words breathe life into tired hearts, that is the power of becoming the atmosphere. To get to this level, you must train your mind every day. You must feed it with truth, with vision, with possibility. You must become the curator of your thoughts, the gatekeeper of your attention, the protector of your peace. You must choose what you allow to influence you, not based on entertainment or comfort, but based on elevation. Ask yourself constantly, does this build my belief or break it down? Does this person expand my vision or shrink it? Is this voice moving me closer to who I'm becoming or holding me hostage to who I used to be? Inner faith is strengthened by clarity, reinforced by discipline, and protected by environment. When these three forces are aligned, your belief becomes a force of nature. You no longer need external validation because your internal world is so well constructed that the outside becomes irrelevant. Your environment is no longer something you react to. It is something you design, and in that design you give your faith the space to grow without resistance. Remember this, you do not rise to the level of your intentions, you rise to the level of your environment. You may have the best plans, the strongest desires, the most vivid dreams, but if you plant those dreams in the wrong soil, they will not grow. They may survive for a time, but survival is not the goal. Thriving is, flourishing is, dominating is, and that can only happen when the soil is rich, the climate is empowering, and the surrounding energy is fertile with possibility. You are not a victim of your surroundings. You are the architect. Every day, you have the power to shift your space, edit your circle, and choose the voices you allow to speak into your spirit. And every time you make that choice with intention, you are strengthening your inner faith. You are building a belief system that is not only unshakable but contagious, one that not only lifts you, but lifts everyone around you, one that becomes your compass, your anchor, and your engine, all at once. And when your environment reflects your purpose, when your associations mirror your ambition, when your atmosphere is aligned with your vision, then your faith will no longer be a quiet whisper in the background. It will be a thunderous roar that leads the way. It will become the force that moves mountains, the voice that silences doubt, the fire that never dies. And you will not just believe in your future. You will live it, build it, embody it, and protect it with everything you have.